Governor Greg Abbott of Texas giving a press conference talking about, I mean, I don't want to say got to give a hand to these people for,
because we absolutely do not have to.
Absolutely not. But like the amount of, I want to say chutzpah, but I'm not sure that fits with Texas. The amount of unmitigated audacity and nerve that it takes to get up there and talk about these things when you have so advanced the cause of people being able to buy these almost, I'm sorry, homosexuals, military grade hardware so they can go in and shoot past the good guys with the guns to get in and shoot the kids without the guns in this soft target, because we know that every kid should be packing a weapon when they go to elementary school and wearing one of those bulletproof knapsacks. But to get up and then have to give a press conference where you have to pretend like this is almost like the equivalent of like, us getting hit with a tornado. There's nothing we can do. We don't have an anti-tornado machine. But in this instance, Greg Abbott gets interrupted.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sit down.
You're out of line and an embarrassment.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
Next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue. It's on assholes like you. Why don't you get out of here?
Yeah. Who is that guy? Yeah. That's Beto O'Rourke for people who may not. Yeah. That was a good stunt. That's an example of a good stunt.
Yep. Beto O'Rourke shows up at their press conference.
I mean, yeah, how dare you politicize the issue? It's just like, I'm so sick of this stuff. I'm so sick of this. Of course it's political, right? Again, like, the right wing naturalizes the most sickest elements of our society so they can get away with whatever they want to do.
Yeah, it's a
and
tragedy.
Not change anything.
It's a tragedy until like a week passes and you can pretend that only the loony left cares about it and wants to hype it up to take your guns away.
Yeah.
I feel like on some level we are now past that talking point. Like, I think for a while the idea of like how can you politicize this? I think, somewhere around, I don't know, the 10th or 15th or 31st or 45th mass shooting over the past couple of years, people understood that, like, it's a political issue. It's a political issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't politicize. Let's go to 5 really quickly. I'm sorry if I'm taking over a bit.
I was going to say 4 or 5. Yeah.
Like, you can never politicize any mass shootings like this. There has to be a waiting period where you can't talk about politics, even though everything's inherently political, but especially gun laws, where we have mass shootings on the regular here in the United States and other nations don't experience that. But Republicans like Ken Paxton, was he up on that stage?
Yeah.
Would never politicize it. He would never make a policy suggestion about gun control in the wake of a mass shooting, especially immediately after. Oh, wait, here is Ken Paxton on election day wearing his campaign shirt, making a policy suggestion about gun control.
As you well know, the state of Texas, not a stranger to shootings that either begin in schools or wander into schools. I know your team has dealt with this before. What were some of the solutions? And I know that Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Patrick have also come up with task forces to harden these schools so they're not easy targets, easy prey for crazy people who go nuts with firearms. What can you tell us has been talked about in the past? What has been implemented and what hasn't been?
Yeah, sadly, this has happened again, and it's a horrible tragedy. But the types of things that we talked about, and I'll never forget it after the Santa Fe shooting, was having one point of entry, making it more difficult for people even to get in that point of entry, make sure that they and having potentially teachers and other administrators who have gone through training and who are armed, because first responders typically can't get there in time to prevent a shooting. It's just not possible unless you have a police officer on every campus, which for a lot of these schools is almost impossible. So I think you're going to have to do more at the school, because it typically involves very short periods of time, and you have to have people trained on campus to react.
How dare Beto O'Rourke politicize?
Today,
This is so. I mean, just honestly, just take it from the practicality of this. Now, in this instance, unfortunately for his narrative, the first responders were there and were shooting at him as he went into the school. The idea that it's impractical to have a police officer in each school, and of course, I mean, that may or may not be the case. You would have to put them in some type of like barricade. You'd also, you'd have to put them in like some type of foxhole, so they could be in like one of those, nests where they would just have like maybe the machine guns sticking out of it, so that if the person came in and presented their weapon first, he'd be able to fire, or she'd be able to fire.
And they'd have to wear camo.
But that is
all of this,
That's obviously not able to do. What you can do is to train all of the teachers well enough, I guess, on a regular basis, so that in the event that someone comes in with an AR-15, these teachers can immediately shift into diehard mode, John McClane mode, and then, grab their weapons wherever it is, make it down to the gun safe where it is, or maybe they've strategically put them in the drop ceilings, right? Or they tape them onto onto the drop ceilings, and they could do one of those things like, "Oh, I'm sorry, are you here?" And they just grab it from the thing and bam, 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 something like that. You'd want to train them to do that.
They would have to go to the Michael Bay School of gun safety training, right?
This from a state of Texas that has very middling to poor teacher pay. So
yeah,
right. Well, you know what you do? You'd have to substitute some of the teaching training that they get to learn best practice teach, where they would do the guards. In fact, here's an idea. Let's not even have teachers. Let's just have the kids in there with guards.
Wardens, yeah.
Good idea.
With guards.
Kinder wardens.
And then
that might save some money.
You've hardened the target, and it won't be a problem. And it's just a question of everybody waiting. And basically, you give the kids training. Wait, you know what we should do is, I don't know if you ever saw Taps. That was that movie about the military academy, where we don't even teach writing or math and this and that. It's just military schools. And then they're going to be hardened targets. And the shooter will, of course, go to somewhere else and shoot people.